Hey, I'm Moo, and Hypixel has over 60 games, and I'm betting you didn't know Paintball Warfare was one of them. With the sheer amount of games they've made, there's bound to be some bad ones. You've got games like SkyBlock and Bed Wars keeping the server alive, and then games like Duels and SkyWars with, their own little communities. And then you've got The Void, housing absolute staples of the Hypixel brand, such as Arena Brawl, Ender Spleef, Mongolian Testicle Tap. It's the dark alleys of Hypixel, where not even admins venture, because, well, nobody cares if you hack in Mongolian Testicle Tap. But I'm gonna brave the trenches of Hypixel to figure out what these games are, why they failed, and did they really deserve to die? Cops and Crims is Hypixel's first-person shooter game. You're divided into two teams, Cops and Crims. Obviously, you buy guns at the start of the game, and then the cops have to defuse a bomb while the criminals protect it. Sound familiar? It's Counter-Strike. It's a blatant ripoff of Counter-Strike. They took the concept of CSGO, and they removed 80% of the guns, all the cool movement, and pretty much everything fun about the game. Hypixel made a worse version of CSGO. I repeat, Hypixel made a worse version of a free game. Do you see the problem here? Why would I play ripoff CSGO when I can just play CSGO? That's like hopping on Minecraft Fortnite to hit some clips. 2 out of 10 game. Absolutely deserve to die. Warlords is a game about... Actually, I don't know what Warlords is about because I keep dying every 3 seconds, and I'm gonna justify why that isn't a skill issue. The best games are usually somewhat simple, or at least guide you step by step. In SkyWars, you're plopped onto an island with chests. It's pretty intuitive what you do next. Open the chests. Assuming you haven't been egged off the map by now, the map structure makes it obvious that you have to go inwards. And if you see a player, well, the game gave you weapons. This rule doesn't just apply for Hypixel games. You can reasonably play Geometry Dash with your foot. And if you do, please send me photos. The reason why clarity and simplicity are so important for games is because it lets the player know what they're supposed to be doing. And if they screw something up, it lets them know what they did wrong and what they can do better next time. So anyway, Warlords has 4 classes, 12 subclasses, power-ups, perks, a whole crit system, weapon skins, foraging, crafting, upgrades, specializations, and I have no idea what this number means. I'm sure, like me, anyone who tries to play this game now, logs on, has no idea what's going on, gets evaporated, and then says, this, I'm playing Cookie Clicker. And I'm not saying games can't be complicated. Imagine showing this to someone while trying to convince them to play Fortnite. It's just that those games have something that Warlords just can't. Skill-based matchmaking. So after belaboring the point for 2 minutes straight, I can finally say Warlords died because Hypixel got less popular. Every game's player count has been going down, and I'm sure at some point Warlords just couldn't keep a separation between people who knew how to play and didn't. And then it just kinda all crumbled. Which is really sad because this game was really well made. The creators put a lot of love and care into it, and it's genuinely a good game. 3 out of 10. You might be saying, Moo, you handsome, amazing, charismatic double-faced entendre. You've already talked about SkyWars as a specific example of a not dead game. Twice. Okay, SkyWars isn't dead, but it's definitely dying. SkyWars used to hit tens of thousands of players regularly, and now it hovers around 500. And it probably isn't for the reason you think. A lot of people blame SkyWars' decline on hackers. Funnily enough, I played 1 game to get footage for this video, and there was a hacker. That's how I died, of course. But most games are completely unaffected, and sometimes the hacker has such a massive issue regarding skill that they still die anyway. To answer why SkyWars died, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think Donkey Kong is a bad game? I swear I have a point. Nobody plays Donkey Kong anymore. Not because it's a bad game, it's just old. Give it 45 years or 11 years, and people will stop playing the same game, simply because they've moved on. Sure, Bed Wars probably stole a chunk of SkyWars' players, but SkyWars ultimately died to the cold, inevitable hands of time. But Moo, you beautiful, intelligent, hilarious. If you're saying that games that are declining in popularity are soon to be dead, why, you could say SkyBlock is dying. SkyBlock is dying. It's been losing players for years. We're looking at a bigger falloff than Calazar, who, ironically, quit SkyBlock. So, I'm such a comedic genius. And if you've played SkyBlock for a decent amount of time, you know why it's declining. It takes so much work. Even if it's fun, the fact that you're losing so much time that could be better spent on other things. You know what? Let's run some numbers. This man, who is most likely being kidnapped against his will, claims to have sunk 6,000 hours into SkyBlock. If he had instead chosen to spend this time working shifts at McDonald's, assuming the average national pay of about $13 an hour, he would instead have almost 80 grand. And we're not done. The national average stock market return clocks in at a golden 10%. Accounting for inflation, we can set up an APY of about 7%. The national average age of retirement is 62, and according to this survey, the average Hypixel player is about 13 to 15, giving this investment almost 50 years to grow. If we plug in these numbers, by the time this person wanted to retire, they could have had an extra. Dear God. And what do you get in return for burning a chunk of your life in $2 million? No wonder almost every major SkyBlock YouTuber has quit. The game is just too grindy, which makes all the current players want to quit, and new players are staring down the barrel of a 4-digit hour count in order to catch up. SkyBlock is cooked, it's inevitably going to die, which is a huge problem for Hypixel because it makes up about 80% of the player base. Hightail better work. Hypixel Zombies is a survival game, where you're plunged into a dark map filled with ammo, guns, and, zombies. After several minutes to gather supplies, all players have to rush to the center island and use everything they've gathered to defend against an onslaught of zombies. Which is cool and all, it's just that the last 5 minutes of the game sound like this. The game is actually super fun, and is still alive enough that you can get into a game if you're patient. The problem comes with replayability. There's only one relatively small map, and every game is structured the exact same. After just a few playthroughs, you've basically 100%ed the game. With some more love and care, this game could have easily turned into a certified Hypixel hip-hop banger. What was I thinking when I wrote this? No! This game does not get an intro edit. Even though it's obviously based on Smash Bros, this game isn't dead for the same reason Cops and Crims is, because it looks and plays totally different from Smash Bros, and Smash Bros is a paid game. And although it is a pretty complicated game like Warlords, I wouldn't even say that's why it died. Surprisingly enough, Smash Heroes actually died because I have no idea, I haven't played it. This footage is from an old video, months ago. You wanna know why I couldn't play it recently? There's 0 people online. I can't! VampireZ is a survival game where you play as either vampires or humans. The vampires summon zombies and use whatever these are to kill the surviving humans, while the humans buy gear to fend off the hordes. And when I say buy gear, I mean you're literally forced to use the in-game currency that you earn at the end of games. Nothing comes free in this world. The absolute best gear you can buy is called the God Set. It makes you practically immortal and is pretty much an instant win. The Hypixel devs balance this out by making the God Set cost much more gold than you can get for completing a game, so there's no way you could get it in every round. One problem. VampireZ has a feature where you can convert arcade coins to their in-game currency. You know, arcade coins. The thing that Hypixel randomly gives you as a reward and nobody ever uses. So people end up with like millions of arcade coins, which can buy like 500 God Sets. And so people just buy the insane gear every game, which makes the game pretty trivial. And so what did the absolute mega minds over at Hypixel do to combat this game-breaking exploit? Did they make the God Set less overpowered? Did they nerf the exchange rate of arcade coins to vampires coins? No, they did something far more devastating. When 2 players with God armor are within a few blocks of each other, both players lose 1 heart. They lose 1 heart. This nerf was so useless. This entire game, I never dropped below 7 hearts. But moo, you could just not buy the God Set and make the game more challenging and fair for other players. Yeah? Sorry for disappearing for 5 months. In my defense, 3rd grade is turning out to be way harder than I thought. Thanks for watching. See ya.